Mentoring gives you the opportunity to support and nurture a fellow Toastmaster over an extended period of time. Coaching involves working with a learner on one specific goal or skill. The interactions and relationship between a mentor and protege are much different than between a coach and a learner. John just presented his fourth speech to his Toastmasters Club, Speakers United. He has identified nonverbal communication as the area he would most like to improve. Let's observe as he meets with Brian, an experienced Toastmaster, for coaching. When they're finished, we'll see how a mentor would approach this same topic.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for staying after the meeting to coach me.
Glad to help. I'm excited to help you get to the next level. Now, when we spoke, you mentioned your goal is to improve your nonverbal communication skills before your next speech.
Yes, as you saw today, my evaluators often say I need to improve my gestures.
I love that you're putting forth such a devoted effort to grow in this area. Watching your speech helped me understand truly what your nonverbal communication skills are and identify exactly where you need to focus your effort.
Great. So where do I start?
Well, let's start by looking at what you did well. Your posture, for one, is already great. You stood straight with your shoulders squared, not slouching or leaning on the lectern. This will help you build nonverbal communication skills.
Thank you. That's encouraging to hear.
Now, based on your current skills, I'd say there's two areas I want you to focus on. One is eye contact, the second is gestures. Now I'm going to give you tips for both. You need to practice them over and over again between now and your next speech. Start with eye contact until that feels natural, then move on to gestures.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan. How do I improve my eye contact?
Well, find an area in your home where you can practice. Let me show you. Stand just as you would, as if giving your speech. If you can, have friends or family serve as your audience. Otherwise, visualize where your audience's faces would be. That tells you where to direct your eye contact. And take a deep breath before beginning your speech. As you do, make eye contact with one person in the audience. Begin your speech as if addressing them personally. After about 3 or 5 seconds, switch your gaze to another person. Once you've eliminated the repetitive, distracting motions, then you'll be ready to add the gestures we talked about. Does this help?
Definitely. I'll try these tips at home and see how it helps.
Great. Keep practicing, and I'm sure your evaluators will notice a big improvement in your next speech.
Thank you for meeting with me.
No problem.
As we just saw, a coach focuses on short-term goals and individual skills. His feedback is specific to a single topic. He provides tasks and steps that will help the learner meet goals. A mentor takes a much different approach to the relationship. Let's watch as John discusses nonverbal communications with Stephanie, an experienced Toastmasters mentor.
Great speech, John. Your posture really has improved since we last met.
I've been working on it. Thank you for encouraging me to do that.
Well, your hard work is definitely paying off. Now, are you feeling more confident about giving that speech at your daughter's wedding?
Yeah, I mean, my posture does feel more natural, and I'm not as nervous. But I know I still need to work on my nonverbal skills.
Okay, we can keep working on that. Just remember, these things take time. There are still plenty of ways I can improve my nonverbal communication. Don't be too critical of yourself.
Okay, thanks. That helps.
Now that you've developed good posture, what would you like to work on next?
I'm not sure. I want to be good at everything.
I love your enthusiasm. When I gave my second speech, I tried to apply all the feedback I'd received from my first speech, but it was just too much to focus on. I was so overwhelmed that I performed worse than I did on my first speech. Now, we can focus on whatever you want. I just want to make sure you're not trying to take on too much.
That's a good point. Maybe we should start with eye contact. That's one thing my evaluators mention often.
I think eye contact would be a great place to start. Once you're comfortable with that, we can move on to something else.
So how do I improve my eye contact?
First, let's think about what's happening when you get up to give a speech. Why do you think that eye contact is a bit of a struggle for you?
Well, honestly, looking at the audience scares me. When I see all those faces, I realize they're all watching me.
That's a common response.
Yeah, it makes me nervous. I start to worry I'm going to forget my speech, that's when I start reading from my notes. Once my head goes down, I don't want to raise it back up to see everybody staring at me.
I understand. I used to have a similar struggle when I first started speaking. Once, I got so scared when I looked out at everyone that I couldn't speak. It felt like an eternity before I could recover and move on. Then the next time I spoke, I thought that if I made eye contact with anyone, it was going to cause a similar response.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. What did you do?
Well, one thing that really helped me was remembering that my audience wants me to succeed. They don't expect me to be perfect, and they know how it feels to be the one at the lectern.
Hadn't thought of it like that.
If it helps, you can also choose 2 or 3 friendly faces to focus on. Whenever you get nervous, make eye contact with me or another member that you feel comfortable with.
I think that would help. I'm going to try that during my next speech. Are there other tricks for eye contact?
You know how you mentioned that when you get nervous, you tend to rely on your notes?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think would happen if your notes weren't there?
I'm not sure. That sounds scary. But I do like the idea of being so prepared that I don't need them. Then I would have to look at my audience.
Exactly. Part of eye contact is confidence. You could try practicing until you know you don't need your notes anymore, and you just might discover that your confidence increases. You can keep some note cards in your pocket just in case, but if your notes aren't right in front of you, you'll be less likely to rely on them.
I think I'm going to make that a goal for my next speech.
That's great. And I'd be happy to help you practice.
I would love that.
Wonderful. Let's schedule a time to meet next week.
These 2 interactions clearly demonstrate the difference between coaching and mentoring relationships. A coach provides tasks and steps designed to help a learner with a short-term goal. A mentor, however, supports a protege for the accomplishment of long-term goals. She listens to the protege's challenges and asks questions to identify the protege's needs. A mentor provides constructive guidance and shares how she overcame challenges. The mentor aids her protege in deciding which steps to take to reach his goals. The mentor sets aside time each week to communicate with her protege and offers opportunities for him to practice in person. I hope watching Stephanie and John helped you learn how to approach your own mentoring relationships.